I need to ask you a question.
Be curious, drifters.
Mr. Brightside fins them up and wins again. Zardozi wins the Oaks for J-Mac. The photo finish. Mr. Brightside or Romantic Warrior. The mare's going. Great guns. Fangirl. Look at her go. Fangirl. Imperatrice has got her. And raced on by Imperatrice by a leg.
Overpass. More Bakers delight in Perth.
Radina just won it, I'd say. Tom Kedden won the spring champion in a cakewalk. Without a fight, won the Caulfield Cup.
For those of you watching on YouTube, you'll see one of the great hosts of all time, Winks. Winks is currently speaking.
Yeah. Winks of 4 Cox plates in a row fame has decided to take the mic, and we figured she often featured across the championship carnival. The Queen Elizabeth was at her mercy multiple times. So, you know, we thought who better to get on the pod than the champion mare herself.
Absolutely. Unbelievable. So how many Queen Elizabeths did I win as well?
I think it was, I don't know if it was 4, but it was definitely 3.
Yeah. I think.
Which is a
3 or 4.
Which is a significant amount.
Yeah. Well, thank you again to you and my good friends for that.
She's a beautiful piece of memorabilia.
Yeah. Yeah. 4 little plates. You know.
Signed by Huey.
Huey just carrying on.
High-flying FIFO Huey.
He didn't really have the same FIFO effect that Purton had. Was it last year? Yeah, it must have been.
No, he didn't.
But hey, there's still plenty of footy to play.
Oh, look, you know, Hugh can produce a stunning ride every now and then, as can Zach. Well, Zach's in town this weekend, isn't he? I don't know if Hubert is.
Hubert isn't. But Zach is, and he's riding some that you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, he's riding some that are at a decent price where you sort of, your eyes just quickly glance over them and you're like, oh. And then you see it absolutely brain them on the weekend. You're like,
like Afcabin being one. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hello. Now, we'll get to the championships, drifters. It's what? The day 1, day 2. So what's day 1, right? So we have a TJ. So basically the Everest of the autumn, basically.
Yep.
We have the Australian Derby, which is okay. It's fascinating with a filly in there.
Yeah, it's fine.
We have a Donny, which is always good for the soul.
Doncaster, big handicap mile, plenty of value to be found.
Yeah, and a Sires, which is a real redemption arc for one Storm Boy.
Potentially.
And Coolmore would be... that'd be
sweating.
They'd be sweating. But we'll get to that. But another mare that's in form. I feel like mares in form has been a common trend this year. But another one is saddling up again. Race 3 this time. Number 7 in Brisbane at Eagle Farm.
Lucky number 7. The second at Portsea.
Barrier 2.
Gate 2. We love to see that. Get the text from Racing Queensland.
Hello.
Check me phone. Oh, what's that? Something I love to see. It's Gate 2. Class 3. You know, the Southern States would probably consider that a Group 3.
I would have thought so.
The Queensland calibre of racing. So.
Yeah.
Is there a price around for her yet?
Mate, $7.
Do you know what? The racing manager, Ben Pace, actually said, I reckon we'll get single figures about $7 or $8.
He knows the markets for the Class 3s at over 1,820 metres.
He does. So $7 for the second at Portsea. I reckon that's about right.
Yeah, so 17 in the field currently, but there's 5 emergencies. Only 12 can go around there. Easily the hardest to beat is the current favourite trained by Tony Gollan from a very, very rapid look of the form. I think this mare is up and coming, but she's jumping from 1660, only the one run there, to the 1820, where we've had 2 runs at the mile.
And we also had the fastest last 600 of the meeting.
Yes.
Last time. So we're crying out for a truly run 1,860 metres? 20 metres. Yeah, she's a red hot chance this weekend.
Again.
Again.
Mare's in form. You can back him with confidence.
Yeah.
Randwick.
Uh-huh.
Bit of rain around.
So they say.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look here.
All right. Like if your life was on the line, right? Your life on the line. Gun to your head. You're about to exactly. You're about to drive through the rotunda on the Kangaroo Point Cliffs into the Brisbane River in a blaze of glory.
Oh,
you're finishing it all, right? And the thing was that you were betting your life on was how reliable is the Bureau of Meteorology?
Well, mate, I think they're hedging the bets at the moment because, it's a rock hard deck at the moment, and it needs to be because this is the forecast as we are live. Honestly, mate, I'd be shocked if the races went ahead this Saturday. 6 to 25 mil on Thursday. It's been updated 25 to 100 on Friday rather. Chance of rain 100%. Saturday 6 to 50. That's the real issue.
You say bloody Randwick track managers are hedging their bets. That's a bloody each way bet to nothing. The Bureau of Meteorology. Oh yeah, it's either going to be like 6 mils or 50. That's a significant difference.
It is.
But I was reading a bit more into it today. So the rain's going to be consistent all day Friday, but it's supposed to be done in the morning on Friday. On Saturday, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm praying that we get a deluge on Friday, which isn't cats and dogs. It's just a nice sheet of rain, and then wake up Saturday and it's like, oh yeah, it's a little bit of rain, but it gets to 11 a.m. and it's completely gone. And we're playing on a heavy 15, but at least we're playing.
I can understand that. My counter argument to that is, I think there was about 2 mil of rain planned for or forecasted for my wedding day, and there was about 30. It just did not stop. It was unrelenting.
It was unrelenting. It was relentless. It was a genuine deluge.
What does this mean, right? Rain. This is like the description. Rain. Possible heavy falls. 25 to 100 mil on Friday. Huh? Possible heavy falls?
That's what I mean. The Bureau of Meteorology are the greatest punters of all time because they never get, they can get it completely wrong, but they'll still have a job the next week. And then they could get it wrong again.
They could. You know what PVL has done before? Bit of showtime.
Got his dick out.
Yeah. Got a bit of David Warner's about him. Get a chopper in just to get rid of the surface water.
Yeah, things we love to see.
Yeah, you could do that again.
So I read a stat today that 16 of the last 17 Doncasters have been on a soft 6 or worse.
Hey, you've got some questions to answer because I was half still in a haze of the cigars that we were smoking on my wedding night.
Yeah,
last Wednesday. You're like, how good is it that we're getting some good weather in Sydney, mate? It's you're like, we're finally going to get a good championships. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. What have you done? This is your fault.
Yeah, someone's got to be held accountable. There's got to be an investigation. I put the knocker on us big time. Well, look, your boy's flying in on Friday, Arvo Drifters. So
damn, good luck.
For those non-Sydney siders, I'll be able to give you some live updates if I indeed get off the tarmac in one piece.
Well, best wishes to you. I won't actually be able to get to the track on Saturday. We have a previous engagement.
Oh, for Portsea. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we should get stuck into some racing, shouldn't we?
We should. So let's just assume we're playing on a heavy 10.
Oh, mate. I've done it for a heavy 9. I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
My apologies. Mate. Yeah.
Which, is tough because, we do like to poke fun at our southern neighbours from time to time because their weather is dog shit. But to be fair to them, the last weather affected ground that was that bad is probably the championships last year. I wish I win on a heavy 9 or whatever it was, producing one of the great wins.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal win. A lot of horses, their wheels were spinning that day. So, It's one of those things on the weekend where there's so much unknown about how some of these horses are going to handle the heavy that you just do the form and just think, oh, look, I'm just going to assume that it does, unless there's a significant contributing factor, which tells you that you shouldn't back it. But and then on the day, if you need to keep your powder dry, just keep your powder dry.
Yeah.
You know, show some self restraint, drifters.
See that? That's a veteran of 200 games in the podcasting game.
Gul.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more. Inglis sires, 1,400 metres for the 2-year-olds. Now, Storm Boy, I don't think he looked awfully comfortable on the, what was that day? Was it a soft 6 that day?
Yeah.
Soft 5? I don't think he looked awfully comfortable that day when he was racing on that track, but I don't know. I think he still is in this with a red hot chance.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the $2.50 on offer?
I think it shows that this horse should have gone very close to winning a golden slipper in the quicksand back on the rail.
Missed the jump.
Yeah.
I think so.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Like, he's rightful favourite, but I could understand if there's a lot of discourse out there. Haven't read into it myself of people who probably have more of a clue than us saying, "Huh, this thing got beat fair and square in a golden slipper by Lady of Camelot, and Lady of Camelot's a better price."
Yeah.
But there's also been discourse around the fact that Storm Boy is going to be better out over 7 furlongs.
Well, that was some of the feedback that I saw on Racing Twitter, saying basically, oh, well, this thing is just already looking for the 1,400 to 1,600 metres. So we might see the best of him. Do I want to dive in at $2.50? Nah, absolutely not. He can go around without me. And to be honest, mate, I've already got a nice position in the race because I'm very keen on Traffic Warden and have been since his first up run this prep. J-Car on barrier 3, I think he was arguably better than Storm Boy back on the inside behind him. I've always thought that this colt will love the 14 to 1,600 metres. I've actually got him on top. Why not?
Why not?
At the price, nothing against Storm Boy. Obviously, we were saying that he's the heir apparent. That still might be the case. But yeah, Traffic Warden for me.
Nah, fair. I don't mind the gate for Storm Boy on this occasion, gate 8.
Follows Camelot across.
I think so.
Yeah.
He maps well. So I've got Storm Boy on top. Am I keen on the $2.50? No. No, I'm not. But because I don't think he's... In my humble, I can see the price and I can see why the bookies can, go to bed at night with that sort of price. But there's chances in this race, mate, outside of Traffic Warden as well. Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman
Lady of Camelot
was huge. Lady of Camelot,
a slipper winner.
Obviously good.
I think a Node was great last week, giving some weight to linebacker.
Yes, it was. He was good, but I think the rail was on fire earlier in the meeting there. So Prost was good. Devana was the one that is the other one that looked like would appreciate getting out in distance as well.
Yeah.
And they avoided the slipper with that colt too. Blinker's first time for him, which is interesting.
Fascinating.
We did ask the drifters on the Instagram, and about half of you said Storm Boy just surely bounces back. And then the rest of you were saying Lady of Camelot and Devana. So, interesting.
Yeah, no, Storm Boy on top for me, but I think Traffic Warden is a cracking bet.
Yeah. All right. What about the TJ? I struggle with this. I really, really struggle with it because I'm like, okay, if we are playing on an absolutely bottomless deck, like Imperatriz has one, like Mick Gearin, who's like, he is like the New Zealand like racing form guy, put up a video of her absolutely destroying them by about 6 lengths last time, or not the last time, but her on basically a heavy 10 there. It was the Melbourne way of going though. And you look at her clockwise form, and it's like, it's not horrific by any means, but 18 starts, 12 wins, opposed to 8 starts for 7 wins and a second, going anti-clockwise. So she clearly, there's a reason why they didn't take her to Sydney. she clearly gets on her Melbourne leg better. Are you with her?
No, not this weekend. It's funny because you could argue today this weekend is the weekend to take her on.
Yeah.
But you could also argue it's the weekend to take her because she's $3.40 with Neds.
Yeah.
And that's a price that if you were diving into with Imperatriz, who could just be better.
Could be.
You could look like an absolute genius. I'm happy to take her on this weekend. I'm with Sunshine in Paris on top. Yeah. Just because I thought her first up run in the Galaxy was so good that I couldn't ignore it. For a mare who was first up over 1,100 metres, came on the inside in the quicksand and still nearly won the race and threw the post. Like,
Juicy
as. Mate, this is her 8th career start.
Yeah.
On the weekend. Sunshine in Paris. So, gate 9, I think she'll need a little bit of pace on, which is my concern. There doesn't actually look to be a stack of pace in this race. Maybe Coal Crusher rolls forward.
Yeah, far out. He's got the... He just seems to go around every week, Coal Crusher. Coal Crusher goes forward.
Magic Time.
Yeah, Magic Time.
Marzu.
Imperatriz would be there. Cylinder, potentially.
So in my...
Yeah, it's a good point.
In my mind's eye, when I was sort of looking at the speed map a little bit, I'm thinking that Imperatriz rolls forward and Sunshine in Paris gets on the back of her and just follows her. Come around the bend, Imperatriz peels out. She might be 2 or 3 pairs back. Sunshine in Paris has got the back of her, brings her into the race, and Sunshine in Paris goes past her. That's what I'm hoping for. Whether that's the case or not. Look, by this stage, the rail could be off as well, so maybe coming from sort of the middle part of the track towards the outside by this stage of the day is better. So she's my top selection, but I love Imperatriz a lot, Drifters. Happy to see her win. Sunshine in Paris, like I got a better price than 8, so... Happy with that.
Well done to you, sir.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, I found her, and, you know, I've been singing her praises for a very long time this year. I found her really difficult to kind of place in this race, just given the weather. It's the biggest unknown for me because those 2 runs on a soft deck, you know, they were early in her career. One was her maiden, and then the other one, she was like half a length away from Chinny Boom. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, but I think, again, like this weekend, there's so many unknowns when it comes to the heavy deck. So you just, and if her wheels spin, you're just like, okay, well, I took the risk and it wasn't worth it.
Yes. Now, I have an update which you might not know, which I only found out about an hour ago, about one I Wish I Win. Co-trainer Peter Moody has reported to Racing New South Wales stewards that after its last racing preparation, I Wish I Win had undergone minor surgery to remove a small bone chip from his right knee. Mr. Moody further advised that I Wish I Win had pleased the stable during his this preparation, which had included 2 satisfactory jump outs. Stewards have also have been provided a vet's clearance from the stable's vet. And then basically automated was all good because she got scratched last week. Did you know that? I didn't know that either.
So you're telling me he ran as well as he did in the spring despite having a
bone chip? Yeah.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, explains a lot why we haven't seen him. You know, he's had 2 runs in a year. I've either got him on top or I've got him missing like the top 4. I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
My mind is in a complete pretzel with this race because he is the best performed horse on heavy ground in my opinion. Honestly, mate, like the second seed is almost Marzo. Like and this is the last time he saw heavy ground was in the TJ last year. And he gets beaten by less than 1.5 lengths. And he wasn't going that well. Like, arguably, like, from that, and you can only go off his first up run, he was decent. He was okay. I think he's doing better than he was in the spring. And he's $17. Like, but the other one who I can obviously forgive last start was Af Cabin. Just nothing went right. You know, second up off a bleed. You know, I typically like to let him go around second up off a bleed, but mate, gets third up here, 1,200 metres, trained like a sprinter. He is probably the best wet tracker of that 3-year-old, of his crop, but he hasn't proven it at open weight for age yet. But I'm kind of willing to find out at the $19 too. So I think he's in with a red hot chance, and then obviously Imperatriz, and then I thought Magic Time was a big price too. Like, she's a bit of a wet tracker as well. And her first up run kind of reminded me of her first up run in Melbourne, and then she went to Sydney and she absolutely brained that field second up. So I don't know. I'm going to have might have to have some sauce with the sauce and discuss it.
You might have to. I think Magic Time, even though she's drawing gate 1, could get the dream run.
Yep.
All fan out. She stays on the rail, goes bang. Mickey D special. So there is some great value in this race, mate. And you pretty much outlined all the horses with the great value. Like Af Cabin is 19s with Ned's, like phenomenal. Marzu 17s. Private Eyes 21s. Like Cylinders 31s. There's just big prices floating around, but Sunshine and Paris on top for me.
Okay. Donny, 1,600 metre Group 1 handicap. Bit on here. A lot of these as well, I found I was like, oh, you don't really have that much wet form either. So I kind of like defaulted to who's going to be like I want a horse that can almost run 2,000 metres over this Randwick mile at the handicap. So I'll be fascinated to hear how you kind of saw the race. But in terms of speed, we saw it in the Epsom. I don't think there's much speed in this either. Like Golden Mile goes forward, Oban Buru Mai maybe. Linda Mann hinged, but she's an emergency in Fearson. Like, is that the speed in the race? Maybe Nugget? I don't know.
Yeah, and he should get a run as the first emergency. Linda Mann comes across. Another will try and get a spot as well, leading. So on paper, there doesn't look to be a lot of speed, but I think there will be for this edition on the weekend. I just think there's so many key chances drawn out wide that they'll create some more natural pace than what they would if they drew in.
Yep.
So I'm going to play the race as if it was an even tempo, not slowly run, but not too quick.
Yep.
How do I see this race? Well, there's 20 horses, not including emergencies, and there's probably about 16 chances who can win. That's how I saw the race. So it's a classic
handicap.
Classic handicap race. I've had eyes for Celestial Legend in this race post Randwick Guineas win, and he gets in with 49 kilos, drew a good gate, month between runs, nice trial as well, nice easy trial in between. Like, does he handle a heavy 10? I'm not sure, but he's a grey horse. So the old wives' tale could be true. He's by a done deal, and he's out of a dam whose dam sire is Schnitzel, and
they get through it.
So I don't think it'll be an issue for Celestial Legend. I went back to watch that Randwick Guineas a couple of times this morning, and that was such a tough win. So my concern is, has that just sapped his brilliance a little bit at the end of what's going to be, to your point, potentially a really tough 1,600 metres in a heavy deck. But then I remembered that Les Bridge is an absolute genius, mate. And he said this guy could be the best horse he's ever trained. That's really saying something. So Celestial Legend on top for me, with the caveat, drifters, that Zugotcha will be scratched from this race. So, if she was in the race, I'd have to have her as my top selection. I'm a big fan of Zooey, but I don't think she'll be running at all. But yeah, we can go through the rest of this field and talk about chances, but he's going to be my top selection.
Sure. Tough win in the Randwick Guineas, but what's in his favour? 49 kilos is in his favour. Barrier's 6. Maps to get a good run. And if the inside is like being churned up, then, another wheel probably draws perfectly in 21. But, mate, you're getting $7.50 to find out for him. I think he's the wrong price of the 3-year-olds. And if you like him, I have no issues if you like. What do I care? But Southport Tycoon's a big price too. But You know, I was actually more taken by his Hobartville win, and that was on a soft 6. So
He cancered away from them.
Yeah.
I got $9 for Celestial Legend, which, to be honest, mate, like $7.50, $9, like really what's the difference? But I think any shorter than $7.50 is too short.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of chances in the field and the size of the field, like $9, $10 happy. Southport Tycoon is a phenomenal price because really what's separating him and Celestial Legend? We saw the Australian Guineas form stand up with V8. Southport Tycoon, you can sort of probably look at that gate and think, ugh, but we just said a lot of paces drawn out, so maybe he's going to get the suck run. And if he's 3 wide, if he has some cover, who fucking cares?
Exactly. Yeah, well said. Who fucking cares? You know who I went to? And I kind of brushed over him early days, but I've gone back to him, and he does owe me one.
Detonator Jack.
Yeah.
Wet Deck.
Wet Deck. He's the best wet tracker in this field, I think. TC on. Mate, he was tough first up, 1,500 metres. You know, Democracy Manifest ran him down late, but he lost no favours from me. The more I looked at that, I was like, that was a tough run. And, you know, he's 3 weeks between runs, which I love, but his wet track form is something I really like. And if they do like really pan out and he has a cheeky jockey on to kind of take a shortcut, I could see TC doing that. And as I kind of mentioned before, I'm kind of looking for that 1,800 to 2,000 metre horse anyway, which I think he fits the right profile and he has the best wet track form of anyone. So at $16, he's my on-top selection in the race. I think I don't think he'll start that price on the day.
No, they'll come for him. Well found, Detonator Jack, because, yeah, you go back to that first up run and they were beating each other up at the front and he held on for third. And that's the only reason why Democracy Manifest was able to come from the back. So if you're thinking there's not going to be that much pace here, he gets the suck run, heavy deck, 52.5 kilos.
We've seen Randwick be leaderish before. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bet in this race, Detonator Jack. But it doesn't stop there, that's the thing.
What are your thoughts on Obam Bury Mai?
Could come out and brain him.
Yeah,
but I'm happy to risk him with the heavy deck. Yeah. But he could come out and just pull all the pants down.
Yeah.
55 kilos for the Golden Eagle winner to sit and show that turn of foot in a farcically run race. Like, he's clearly a very good pony, but the weather concerns me. Do you want to do a quick?
Yeah.
Can they? Can't they?
Yeah. Think about it.
Happy to take him on.
So, Obam Bury Mai can win.
Yep.
Pericles.
I think he's one for exotics.
Yeah, he's a Ned's same race multi guy.
Yep.
Militarize.
Happy to take him on.
Oh, hello.
Happy to take him on in this race.
Is it weight as a 3-year-old? What is it?
It's the weight. 54 kilos. And he's going up against Southport Tycoon and he's going up against Celestial Legend. Celestial had his measure just in the Randwick Guineas. And then V8 had his measure, who lost to Southport Tycoon. Heavy deck, Zach Purton, big ticks, but militarised $13 with that sort of weight. I'm happy to risk him.
I think Militarize's wet track form is a bit overplayed.
As a 2-year-old.
So the one time he saw a heavy track, it was a heavy 9 in the size last year. He beat Don Corleone and Peer Pressure. Like, nothing. He beat nothing. So, yeah, happy to take Militarize on. Zugotcha will probably come out, but she'd be in with a great chance.
Yep.
Mate, honestly, Golden Mile, he would not shock me.
Would not shock.
He was at $71 earlier in the week. Like, that was a big price. Kovalika.
He can win.
Yeah? I don't know.
He can win. I thought he was a sneaky good run. Kovalika in the George Ryder on the inferior ground, came onto the fence, kept running along. Ocean Park, he'll handle the wet deck, and you can just see Chris Waller just sharpening him up for this. But on his way to a Queen Elizabeth, Kovalika, quick backup.
Imagine that.
Lol.
Detonator Jack, as we touched on, he can win.
He can win.
Berkshire Shadow was one of the great plungers in all-in markets last start in that Von Hawk amenable race at Flemington. But if you can line up that form to something here, good on you.
Good on you.
Because he's $101 for a reason. Rustic Steel.
Rustic Steel would shock.
Yeah, he would shock, but he has he's beaten a Tissue and Dr. Drill on a heavy track.
Yes. He has.
52 kilos, attractable. You can have him.
Yep.
Lady Laguna, she's fascinating.
Lady Laguna's already been spec'd. She's $9.50. The wet deck won't worry her. She's drawn well. Finished off really nicely in a George Ryder. Won a Canterbury. She's giving me Forbidden Love type vibes.
Yeah, you know who she reminds me of now? Now that she reminds me of Tefane a bit. Tough, like battle-hardened mare that I don't think, she could probably get 15, but 1,600 metres is a bit of a stretch.
And that's why Forbidden Love came to mind as well. Because remember, a couple of years ago, brains him in the Canterbury, wins at George Main, 50 kilos in the Doncaster, $4.40. Everyone's like, yeah. Didn't see out the 1,600 metres. She still ran fourth. Runs super well.
Yeah.
And the difference is Lady Lagoon is double the price.
Yeah.
So if you're keen on her, take her. But I think the 1,600 metres in a tough 1,600 metres as well, might just find her out.
Yep.
So she's not in my numbers, but absolutely wouldn't shock.
Yep. Democracy Manifest. My biggest worry for this horse is the ground.
Not the succulent Chinese meals. That's not a concern.
No.
He loves them.
He does.
He eats China horse clubs for breakfast.
Well, the thing is, mate, when do you eat Chinese? On a hot summer's night. I think it'll be a bit chilly on Saturday.
Yep.
I don't think the weather will be right for Chinese. And, we tipped him out at $26. So he's the 21's his unders. Fearson, 200 to 1. You could probably have him.
Yep, you can have him.
Lock Eagle. Now, this horse has beaten Detonator Jack on occasion. So if you like Detonator, you could certainly make a case for this horse. He's probably not going as well this prep, but I think they've been in the race for a while. So this is arguably the grand final. So if there is a 100 to 1 shot winning, it will probably be this guy. Linda Mann. Now, absolutely brained him last start at home, 2,000 metres on a soft 6.
He's on a mile, Linda Mann.
But could be in his favour this week.
50.5 kilos from that gate. Look, he wouldn't shock me, Linda Mann, but he's not in my numbers.
No, and I don't know, the ground concerns me with him as well, but he is a different animal since the gelding. So he wouldn't shock me, but $16, about the right price. Samana?
She's been racing really well, but I think this is just... I think this is just one where you just can't fit her in her numbers.
Yeah.
Back to a handicap against some really tough opposition. She was really good in the Coolmore Classic.
Yep.
Nearly won. But just sort of peaked on a run a bit, so I'm wondering if the mile might be a little bit too tricky.
Agreed. Another Will can definitely win.
100%.
But $4.60 is
no thanks.
Awfully short. Celestial Legend can definitely win. Southport Tycoon, yeah, I think so.
I think he can win.
And then of the emergencies, honestly, mate, probably Hinged. is your best chance.
Yep. Been a long time between drinks for Hinged.
So, what is your first four?
Shit. So Celestial Legend is on top for me. And this is with the caveat that Zugotch not in the race, guys. So Celestial Legend on top for me. Southport Tycoon running into second place for me. I think another Will is a top 4 chance, 100%. And then I've got Pericles in the top 4 because we've been talking about him the entire bloody autumn. So there it is, but I could also say Detonator Jack and Kodalika, but you got to risk some.
Top 6. Detonator Jack on top for me, just given the setup for this race. Connections they'd be giddy this week.
Oh, I think so.
And we see it time and time again with Kieran Maher horses. There will be a serious plunger on this horse. It will start single figures. I'm convinced of it. So I'm going to be taking the price early.
Yep.
And locking that one in. Celestial Legend is my second option there, and that is a Quinella that you will definitely be seeing on my profile this weekend because I think it's a great bet. Now, I'm not going to, even though, hey, I've been surprised before, I might have a succulent Chinese meal on Saturday. I'm keeping Democracy Manifest in my numbers, and then another will be there and thereabouts as well. The other thing which we didn't discuss with him is the quick backup. Some horses do suit it, and we saw with Post Impressionist, some of them don't.
Nope.
Australian Derby. Fascinating. Zardozi. Don't see it often, the fillies going against the boys.
Nah, but I like it. I like it a lot.
You called it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Those early listeners, I guess, to the review podcast, because you were having a sneaky peek at the futures markets, and you saw her firming. So fascinating.
They knew. Oh, she's in this with a red hot crack. I'd have to probably look at the race a bit more before putting her on top, because I think if it's a moderately run race and it becomes a sprint home, Riff Rocket's my on top selection. If it's a truly run race, Zardozi is the superior stayer in my humble, and she's my on top selection. So one of those two, 100% for me. Drifters, I just probably need to get a clear idea of the map, and then I'll probably do the exact opposite of what I think on the actual day. I'm probably leaning towards Zardozi because she lost that Wakeful Stakes on Derby Day, where there was just a savage leader bias, and she came out and she just showed a turn of foot at the end of 2,500 metres in the Oaks a few days later on a 5-day backup that not a lot of stayers possess, particularly a 3-year-old filly like that early in the season. So I think she's just a really, really good stayer, whereas Riff Rockets I think is a really good 2,000 metre horse who against his own age, this is fine.
Yeah.
But I'm more team Zardozi than I am team Riff Rocket. But if it's a slowly run race, then it just dulls her brilliance. So, but yeah, she could do to Riff Rocket what Riff Rocket just did to Kitty Cat Tom. Wins first up over 1,400 metres. Everyone expects him to win the Australian Guineas. Runs third. And then people sort of give him a little bit of a wide berth. The Rosehill Guineas brains him. Zardozi brains him in the Far Lap Stakes. Comes out in the Vinery. Third, bit of a so-so race. Comes out, brains him here. So, probably lean towards her on top.
Oh, yeah. I think she's the clear on top selection for me. Especially just, I have a love-hate relationship with the Waller stable. I think everyone does, to be honest, because I think they over-communicate at times. So it's like, I remember, I thought he was none first up, and then he wins like Far Lap. And then it's like, he got through the Derby on his class. We probably won't be going to a Derby trip again. And then here he is as like $3 favourite. I'm like, okay. At times I feel like they just don't know what they're doing. And it's like, which they clearly do.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, they would just have like plan A, B, C, D, E all going, But Zardozi here, I think it's a pivot, but I love it because I think she gets the exact same setup that she does going from that Wakeful to to the Oaks. I think she gets the exact same thing here. And as you said, I think she is the superior stayer. So happy to have her on top. Fascinating about the stable, mate, because he was the same price in a Tancred last week before he got scratched. He was $7 there.
Kitty Cat Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating.
Don't know what to do with him. If it was good ground, I'd be tempted. But wet ground, I don't know.
But it is bizarre that they've put a filly against a colt.
I know. And arguably, like, the derbies don't mean as much for stud, like, value.
Yeah. But I think outside of Godolphin, that'd be the case. But for them, it's by Harry Angel, who's their European sire. He's already won the Rosehill Guineas. I think it would mean a lot to the stable and the global operation, more or less southern operation for him to win. But I just think James Cummings just like, I would rather take the boys on with Zardozi than take on Orchestral.
Yeah,
in the Oaks. That's what I think. I think he's looking at that Vinery and thinking she was nowhere near her best, yet she just put him away.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
That's why I think she's here. I'd love to see her win because if she wins this, then it's like, cool. We've got a not a VE, but we've got a VE-esque type, because I think she's the smartest Oaks winner we've had in a long time. So I want to see her win.
Yep. So Zardozi on top for me. I have Chillwolf and Tommy Kitten in for my trifecta. In what exact order, pick yourself. Then I have Riff Rocket just into fourth, just because I think it's going to be a pretty sapping 2,400 metres, and I want something that I think I'm guaranteed to get the distance, and I think Zardozi ticks that box for me. So,
yep. Riff Rocket second for me, and then Cap Ferrar and Immediacy are my two to round out.
Cap Ferret. The Drifters now, what did they, because I had the point but I missed it. So 60% of them.
Huh?
Kitty Cat Tom.
Jeez.
And then the rest of them, Immediacy.
Kitty Cat Tom. Look, I would spew if he wins this, but but he just, the deck, and has this been the grand final the whole time, and could he make us look like an idiot come game day? Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
But I still probably would have liked to have seen more from him this prep.
Yeah, I think he's just been flat. Maybe he's a springtime performer, Big Tom,
Kitty Cat Tom.
And potentially he was just an early season 3-year-old, and, the others have caught up to him.
Can we just point out something as well? If Kitty Cat Tom is beaten by the other Tom in this race, Hooligan Tommy, number 12 at 201 at the moment with Neds, we know who the superior Tom is.
Yeah.
Still Tom Melbourne.
For the TJ, the Drifters are on I Wish I Win, Magic Time, and Sunshine in Paris. And then what was the other one we were talking about? The Donny, of course. The Doncaster. The Drifters are on Succulent Chinese Meal, Lady Laguna, Militarizer Tractable at a huge price, Celestial, Oban Buramai, and another a few succulent Chinese meals.
It's good to see. Yeah. Really good to see.
Would he'd be up there with one of the most popular horses?
Oh, easily.
Thank you, Darren.
Yeah, easily. Well named.
I guarantee when it goes to Darren Flindell's selections, he has one Democracy Manifest in his numbers.
100% he will.
100%. Because Darren gets it.
Darren 100% gets it.
And you know what else Darren is? He's a long-time suffering Tigers supporter.
Is he?
So he's finally getting a little bit of joy.
That's good. I'm really glad to see it. I'm seeing a bit of love for Matty Hill as well in the AFL world at the moment. He's a brilliant caller.
Well, they're comparing him to the great Dennis Cometti.
Shit.
Like, he got out of that like a cork in the ocean, or he bounced around like a cork in the ocean or something. Like, that's some of Dennis's gear. And Matty Hill's just like the heir apparent, which I've seen some people on Twitter go like, hey, I think he's too good because we might actually lose him in racing.
I think so, yeah.
I think Matty Hill loves racing too much.
I think so.
Yeah. It's wild because he apparently he doesn't even like, he obviously like does the form, but I think he has like a bit of a photographic memory. So he doesn't look at it that often, like that heavily. And then he just goes, oh, yep, bang, that's it. Isn't that wild?
Some people are just born for it, mate.
Yeah. Crazy. All right, let's look at the undercard, eh?
Yep.
The Widden Kindergarten Stakes, 1,100 metres Group 3 for the 2-year-old set weights. Espionage lost or didn't get a run in the slipper. Is your $2.15 favourite. Oof, short, very short. Rosalind Star's a progressive colt.
Yes. Sure is. Johnny O'Shea's starting to build a little bit of a stable, I think.
Yeah.
But like Rosalind Star lost to Gatsby on debut. And we saw how that form turned out. Oh, look, I think Espionage is going to be really hard to beat.
Sorry, mate. Where is Gatsby's in the size market?
Nowhere to be seen. There goes that ticket. So Espionage is going to be really hard to beat. But $2.15 probably Stickly.
Yeah, it's not a good way to start the day. No. Like if I was to have a spec at something at double figures, it's probably Extreme Diva, but she has a bit of the inconsistencies about her. Mm-hmm. Now, race 2, the Schweppes Chairman's Quality, 2,600 metres, Group 2, handicap. Now, I thought, we see it time and time again, the Europeans are always disrespected in the market. I thought Circle of Fire, if this horse gets through the wet ground, he'll be awfully hard to beat. He was a really decent run behind Wymark in a benchmark 78, albeit, but this horse was racing over 2,800 metres back in Europe. So we'll appreciate the step up in distance. Trained by Kieran Maher now, so you know he'll be rock hard fit. There is a horse here with counterform.
Is it?
Number 6 is a Largo. So Counter has beaten this horse home before, and it's 200 to 1. So
shit.
We'll see how Counter lines up against in this grade if that horse indeed takes its place.
We get a wet deck for Stockman.
Yeah. I like, love or hate him. Joe Pride is like, I remember he was interviewed, I think, before the Lindemann race or the Serpentine race earlier in the prep. And it's like, Joe Pride about Stockman, he's like, oh yeah, he's an old warhorse, but there hasn't been a lick of rain this week. He's got none today. It's like he needs it wet, and he loses by 6 lengths.
Yeah, well, he's got it wet this weekend. Yeah. It's $5.50. So if you want to find out, Drifters, I wouldn't talk you out of it.
Yeah. Man's voice?
No.
Yeah. I agree.
No.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Carbine Club in race 3. 1,600 metre Group 3. I thought this was one of the most impossible races I've ever seen. I don't know where to look here.
I don't even know where to start. What about Big Boy Cafe Millennium?
Like, I think he's too big because I think he'll get his hoof in and then he'll just sink through. He'll sink in and he'll be like knee deep and he'll just be standing there, I reckon.
Oh man, this is impossible. Kintyre raced last in the Rosehill Guineas. Probably prefers 1,600 metres.
Like that horse, the placement of that horse.
Sorry, it wasn't the Rosehill Guineas. It was the Wymark race.
Like the Todman. This horse is one of the most bizarrely placed horses of all time.
Mate, Gary Portelli doesn't know where to place his horses, mate.
Yeah. Hey, yes, but as a 2-year-old trainer, he has, like, as you said, it's like you can't fuck it up.
Yeah, you can't fuck it up, mate. It's a clear path. I can't bet in this race, mate.
No, wait.
I just can't. Like, Tannhauser's here, but staying at the mile.
Yeah.
Wet deck, maybe. I don't know. I can't bet in this race.
Yeah, I agree. There is a Kiwi up the top, Wits End, number 2. So it has a superior starting price profile with that Kiwi form, which we have to respect when they do come over. Has been racing at the 1,400 metres, so has to step up to the 1,600. But J-Mac I think J-Mac knows which Kiwis to jump on. So,
oh yeah,
and he probably has seen the rest of these. He's like, nah. He's gone to Chris. Chris probably has half the field. He's like, nah, mate, not today. So, I think the Kiwi Wits End might be hard to beat. I could have a bet in the Adrian Knox in race 4 though. 2,000 metres, Group 3 for the 3-year-old fillies. Autumn Angel, 61 kilos. Misses the run in the Vinery last week where I thought she was a top 4 chance. $2.90 here. That's backable, but I've found another one.
I couldn't back Autumn Angel with that weight.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I think Peter Moody's using this as a tune-up run for the Oaks next week. I don't think they want to bust her up with 61 kilos. Keep her relatively fresh heading into the Oaks, take on Orchestral. Way too short for me. The one I was looking at was out of Tavistock. Tavistock produces some serious stayers, and this thing's just been fine in the line, all prep, looking for further. J-Car goes on, number 12, Good Banter. Geez, short, $5.50, but if you watch each of its runs, it's just like, this thing's looking for 2,000 metres. It finally gets there, Johnny O'Shea. The Tavistocks, as we know, they They don't do anything until they get it to this sort of distance. So that's my top selection. But what did you like?
That Queen of Dragons race, I completely binned because about 3/4 of the field are in this race, and I just found it too difficult, far too difficult, and
Too hard basket.
Yeah, so I just binned it, and I looked for something else, and I found a provincial, well, not really that provincial, but Hawkesbury form coming here, and Newcastle form in Ahuriri. Anyway.
I'm going to let you butcher it because I don't know how to say it.
Number 11. I did listen specifically to the call, but I can't remember how it was said. Anyway, this is a filly who will appreciate getting out to 2,000 metres. So I did write this down. Let me find this. So this girl, albeit being a very slowly run 1,800 metre race, she actually ran the fastest last 200 metres of the Hawkesbury meeting at the 1,800 metres. So I feel like whenever I see that, who's the mare that I backed up in, or the filly I backed up in Queensland? Amakura did the same thing at Newcastle. So whenever I see that, my eyes or my ears prick right up. So I think she is in with a great chance. Barrier 22 could be the place to be. Fresh ground. Willow will have to give it his all. 53 kilos. I think she's a decent bet around that $9 to $10. Now, do you want to have a look at the country championships?
Yeah, we can.
Now, some updates about some very well-fancied horses here, including the favourite, Bandy's Boy, Tribeca Star, and there is another one, but they're the main two. Basically, those two horses and one other have displayed lameness, so they're getting reassessed on Friday. Now, Bandy's Boy has he's got bloody group form around him.
Mate, he definitely does, and he'll be incredibly hard to beat in this race if he runs. So he'd be my top selection, but didn't like the sound of that.
No, and my second selection was Tribeca Star.
Good.
Bringing the Brisbane form. So I think I'm holding my powder dry for the first half of the card.
Yeah, you might have to.
Yeah, I'll have a little play in race 4, but that's about it. And I've already got a position on traffic warden, so I might not be playing until about the TJ. Well, the second at Portsea will be early. So, but have a good bet in the last. The China Horse Club PG Bell Stakes, 1,200 metres, Group 3 for the fillies. I thought Miraval Rose was a great chance here.
Yes, she is a good chance in this race. What did she do towards the end of the prep, Miraval Rose? Didn't she absolutely brain him?
Yeah, down in Melbourne.
Caulfield, that's right. And she
only just missed to a 60-1 pop in at Caulfield to start prior, but that was on the leader bias day, I believe.
Do you know who won this race last year?
Magic Time.
Magic Time. So same stable. Yeah, she's a good bet in the race. Learning to fly, coming back to 1,200 metres after a 1,400 metre attempt in is that the surround?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Flight.
Whatever it's called. I think it's a surround. But, yeah, she just, I don't know, maybe she's not a 1,400 metre horse learning to fly. So I'm prepared to give her another chance, but I think it's between those two.
Yeah, Christilli
on a heavy deck, but she can't be a betting proposition, mate. Like, yeah, back to the scene of the crime of last year, lol, but no, I can't.
Yeah. I like Miraval Rose. I reckon, and then when there's a really smart Victorian horse come up here, they usually measure up, more often than not. And I love the Grainberg stable.
You do.
He's good.
I've just seen a jockey change for Chris Tilly. Zach Lloyd off, Blake Shin on. He can ride anything at the moment, so maybe that's the key to her. But
maybe.
No, it's a good race to close us off.
You know who I saw? I'm going to have to try and find it because I thought it was fascinating. And I was like, that is the exact jockey you want on. It might have been in the TJ, actually. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Nash on Espiona. Because Espiona played up last time on a city leg. I was like, oh, what's Nash done on Espiona before? 2 rides for a win in a second.
There you go. He's just so hot, Nash.
Yeah.
So hot.
Now, there is some races at Caulfield, but they are quite frankly they're gross. But the Galilee Series final, 2,400 metres listed, race 7 on the Caulfield card for the 3-year-old set weights penalties. Look, the orchestral form surely continues to stand up here with Antrim Coast. You're an Apulia guy, though.
I am, but very disappointing last start, wasn't he?
And, mate, and you're getting asked to take the same price.
Yeah.
And the opposition beat him by 4 lengths.
Exactly. So, no, I think Antrim Coast, why would you jump off?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Race 8 is the Team Blue Victoria Handicap, Group 3, 1,400 metres. Attrition is back. Getting $7 to find out. Now, he was spec'd last time. He started $10. What would that be? Is that the CF4 on the Memsey or whatever it is?
One of them.
Yeah, I think is it Mitchell Friedman? He wasn't. He was unsure or what went wrong first up.
Yeah.
Just nothing. Sometimes you have an off day.
Yeah, so he could come out and just be better, but so could Globe.
Yeah, those Silks that stable. I don't know, mate.
They are a bit gross, aren't they?
I have to watch them.
I think you just got to put a line through that last start. Obviously, he had cardiac arrhythmia as well. He's in trialing well. Apparently, he's matured a lot as well. But yeah, the word from that stable, can you really trust it? Plus, weak-gutted dog Joe McNeil goes on. The thing I like about Globe is that he's weighted well in this race and he should lead. So if he is anywhere near what he was like towards the end of, not the last race, the prep before, then he's going to be incredibly hard to beat.
Yep. Easter Cup, race 9, Group 3 handicap. First Immortal picks himself.
I think so. And $3.10 to find out. I'll take that with good people at Ned's easily.
Yeah.
I should be beating Berkeley Square, shouldn't he?
Oh, come on, mate. When's the last time that horse won a race?
Been a long time.
75 weeks.
And Carini as well. Like, happy to take those two on. They're nonnies.
Yeah, Carini is a bit, isn't he? He has
Can run on a bit.
Blinker's first time for him.
Look out.
Aberfeldy Boy is gelded, which, could bring out the best in him as well. He might have been, I saw that somewhere. But anyway. But yeah, what's the highlight for you this week then? Outside of the Thesecondatportsea, obviously.
Yeah, outside of her. Oh, probably the Donny, mate. That's the obvious one. But I'm fascinated by the TJ. I'll be stoked if Imperatriz wins because it's like, okay, clearly she's just better. And like, who can have an argument against her if she beats up on him after that on a Sydney leg, heavy deck. But also, like, if Sunshine in Paris comes out and wins, it's just like, okay, well, who's beating her in the Everest?
Yeah.
Maybe Giga Kick.
Maybe.
And also, the Wonder filly from WA, Amelia's Jewel, she's racing this weekend.
Yeah.
Her lead-up run that she had last year, the same race, the Roma Cup, I believe it's called, into the Quokka. So I'm not sure what price she is there, but
yeah.
But she's racing, which is cool.
Mm. And Viva Las Vegas, the Brisbane Lions are playing North Melbourne this weekend, so hopefully they can get a W.
Yeah, I think Anthony Seibold might be in the coaching box of the Lions at the moment.
Jesus.
Look, I'll tell you after, but a source close to the team has told me bit of a storm in a teacup, as you would expect.
Yeah. Did you see Caro of Breaking Stories fame?
Yeah.
She was basically like, this is like, she said it. She's like, this is a bit of a beat up, this story.
Yeah.
And she's usually the one that hunts this shit down.
Yeah. Is this would it be different gravy if they were a Melbourne club, or would it be worse?
Oh, I think if Richmond did something like this, it'd be pretty bad. Look, rose-coloured glasses on. I don't think the season's like completely cooked yet.
No, the thing is, if they were 2 and 3, 2 and 1, would this be a thing?
Yeah, probably. But apparently the old mate who broke it, I won't dignify him by saying his name, but apparently read it on like a Real Footy thread. That's where like someone like came up with it or something, or like broke it.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, that's his source. That's what I've heard.
Jeez.
So hard-hitting journalism.
The Sydney source.
Yeah. His source was the Sydney source. I actually sent that text message that we saw earlier.
Lol. That
And,
text
mate,
was funny.
Last bit of footy chat. Apparently Zach Lomax is gone. How do you feel?
Oh, indifferent. Like, he's not our halfback or our fullback. He's a winger. Albeit, he's proving that he's a very good winger.
Well, he's not a winger, though, according to him.
According to him, and he's also on 800 grand. So if I was on 800 grand, I'd happily play wing. But yeah, he's very overpaid. But no, I think Zach Lomax is good. And like, do I want to see him go? No. Do I care? Not really.
Yeah. But, mate, enjoy Sydney.
Thanks, mate.
That should be good. Hopefully the races are on, mate. That'd
Yeah,
be good.
I'll be disappointed if they're not. Really disappointed. But we'll see.
Happy 1 year to you and G as well, by the way.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
1 year anniversary. Wasn't on April Fool's Drifters, even though that's what my desired date was. But I couldn't get it, unfortunately. So the 2nd of April is. Let's go to the 2nd of Portsea.
Yeah. There you go. 2nd of April, 2nd of Portsea.
She drew, she's wearing saddlecloth number 7. She drew gate 2.
Jeez.
Gee whiz, she's $7.
Double stake. Responsibly.
Responsibly. Whack.